Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Rupi Boyd. I am one of the executive coaches with National Center for Urban School Transformation. We are very fortunate to have outstanding staff from Concourse Village with us today. They will describe how they have created a learning environment that promotes consistency, student advocacy, and care, which leads all students to love learning. I am pleased to introduce Principal Alexa Sorden, Assistant Principal and Teacher Miss Katy Caceres, and Teacher Miss Cynthia Cruz. They will give us a short presentation and then we will have time for Q&A afterwards. Thank you so much.
Hey there.
We'll have
My
time
name
for
is Cynthia
Q&A
Cruz.
afterwards.
I am
Thank you
an
so much.
educator at Concourse Village Elementary School. I've been with the school since 2014. I'm currently teaching fourth grade, ELA and social studies. And previous to that, I've taught third grade, second grade, and kindergarten. So our school-wide culture. At the heart of a positive school climate are the relationships that we build within our community. Those relationships include student to teachers, relationship between the students themselves, that peer to peer, and also between teachers and between our community, our school, and this includes the parents. They are a very important piece to the puzzle. And we're able to build these relationships with our school's mission, the vision, and the core values at the forefront. So what is our mission? At Concourse Village Elementary School, our mission is to provide a safe and also between teachers and between our community, our school, cognitively, and this includes the parents by rigorous curriculum, as well as we're personally motivated by our core values. And we have some core values: integrity, perseverance, optimism, willingness, empathy, and respect. And this spells power. Now, through the core values, we will foster confident, well-rounded leaders who grow up to be critical thinkers and socially responsible adults like us, who positively impact the world around them. Now that takes us to our vision. What is our vision? So our vision is to foster responsible, productive citizens of the community. Hey there. My name is Cynthia Cruz. I am an educator at Concourse Village Elementary School. I've been with the school since 2014. I'm currently teaching fourth grade, ELA and social studies. And previous to that, I've taught third grade, second grade, and kindergarten. So our school-wide culture. At the heart of a positive school climate are the relationships that we build within our community. Those relationships include student to teachers, relationship between the students themselves, that peer to peer, and also between teachers and between our community, our school, and this includes the parents. They are a very important piece to the puzzle. And we're able to build these relationships with our school's mission, the vision, and and the core values at the forefront. So what is our mission? At Concourse Village Elementary School, our mission is to provide a safe and nurturing environment where all students are cognitively stimulated by a rigorous curriculum, as well as personally motivated by our core values. And we have some core values: integrity, perseverance, optimism, willingness, empathy, and respect. And this spells I power. Now, through the core values, we will foster confident, well-rounded leaders who grow up to be critical thinkers and socially responsible adults like us, who positively impact the world around them. Now that takes us to our vision. What is our vision? So our vision is to foster responsible, productive citizens of the community with strong critical thinking and academic skills, right? And how are we doing this? Well, via a rigorous and thought-provoking curriculum. And this curriculum is delivered by us, passionate and motivated educators, in a safe and nurturing environment, supported by the one and only, our families. Now, with all this wouldn't be possible without scholars being able to understand our core values, what they are, and what they mean. So our core values are, once again, I, integrity, doing the right thing even when no one is looking. P, perseverance, really giving things a try, not giving up, persevering through tasks that might be a little rigorous, might be challenging. O, optimism, keeping a smile, looking at the bright side of things. Willingness, giving things a try, like, you know what, I'm going to give this a try. E for empathy, really putting yourselves in the shoes of others and understanding where they're coming from and their situation. And of course, respect. Without respect, our work would not be possible. So how do we make it all come to life? What is it that we do at Concourse Village Elementary School? So at Concourse Village Elementary School, we have school-wide systems. And these school-wide systems, they support the fact that we all speak the same language. We all follow the same structure, right? When we think about the curriculum that we follow, we use the curriculum year after year. Some curriculums, at the end of the year, we reevaluate them and we say, yeah, let's tweak this, let's fix this part. And we revamp them to make them even better in order to continue to support our students being critical thinkers. We have a PBIS system. It is a 3-tier system. At the first tier is individual, where students are getting power dollars for exhibiting their core values. Then we have collaboration, that's the second tier, and they collaborate with their peers. They collaborate in group work at their tables, and they're able to earn collaboration points. And at the end of the month, whoever has the most collaboration points, they visit the treasure chest. And they love visiting the treasure chest and grabbing, a little prize. And the third tier would be the whole class, which they receive what we call ELE tokens from out-of-class personnel. So when they go to their specialties, art, physical education, science lab, once they work together as a whole class, they receive ELE tokens. And with the ELE tokens, they are able to fill up a chart. When they fill up a chart and collect enough ELE tokens, they can redeem it for a prize. And this is the same throughout every single grade, every single class, same expectations. If we think about our classroom environment, right? Our classroom environment, how it looks, how it sounds when we play classical music. And all this is done with a purpose. The purpose is for our students to have a focus on the learning. The classrooms look the same. We know that red is for math, green is science, blue is social studies, and ELA is yellow. So everything, our classroom environment, very similar. You're not relearning any system. Now we're here to learn, right? And that is our focus, nurturing these young minds. We think about our grading expectations. We have the same grading system. And we work together as a group in terms of the educators in order to norm it. What does level 1 look like if we're thinking about writing? What does a level 2, a 2-point short response look like? So we try to norm our work as well. And how do we do that? Grade teams and department teams. Because we have a departmentalized system, our upper grades do have department teams. So we have the ELA and social studies team, the math team, and then the science teams. And these teams are getting together to talk about the different grades, to talk about their work. How do they connect in terms of vertical alignment? And then we have the grade teams, which we all come together. Let's discuss some trends. What's working in your class? What's not working? And also parent outreach. How are we reaching the parents? How are we supporting the parents in our classrooms? And all of this in terms of how we all make it come to life. It is a matter of having these routines, these transitions in place in order for the students to be familiar with what is expected. For example, we have transition music, which is to the beat of the Mission Impossible tune. The moment we play the Mission Impossible tune, that transition music, I know what's expected of me, right? So all this brings everything come to life. And the goal, ready? The goal is for teachers, students, and parents to feel confident. Confident knowing what to expect each day across all facets of the school community. This helps to create a safe and nurturing school-wide culture, which is what we have today at Concourse Village Elementary School.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Caceres, and I'm currently the assistant principal at Concourse Village Elementary School. I am a founding member, and I have been teaching here since 2013. My first year, I taught second grade, and in my second year here, I was part of the first group of teachers who taught Departmentalized. In that time, I have taught third grade math and science, fourth grade math and science, fifth grade math and science, and I have also been the lower grade exploration lab educator. So I was teaching pre-K to second, and we were working on coding, the engineering design process, solving real world problems by doing hands-on activities. Our vision, mission, and belief at Concourse Village Elementary School is: our mission is to empower all students and educators to become confident and proficient across each subject area. Our vision is a bold, innovative, and continually improving school community, maintaining a focus on preparing students for tomorrow. Our beliefs are that students and educators have the capacity to achieve excellence, experience equity, and learn in supportive and nurturing classroom environments. When I first started teaching Departmentalized, it really allowed me to see the importance of being able to master your practice and really being able to understand what you are teaching. I know, me personally, I became a better educator for my students, and in turn, that allowed them to be successful. I was really able to hone in and develop who I was as a math educator. I was really able to break down and really analyze different strategies that would help my students to be successful. And then in addition to that, because I moved up from second to fifth, I really started understanding what is it that my students have to master before coming into my grade. What do they need to master while they are with me in order to be successful for the year they have to come? So how do we make it all come to life? We create opportunities for teachers to focus on and master one or two subjects, which increases their level of expertise and deepens their understanding of the content they teach. When I started teaching Departmentalized, well, first of all, when I started teaching, what was funny is that math was not my strength, or at least I didn't think it was my strength. It took a lot of effort and time on my part to be able to become a strong math educator. When I started teaching departmentalized math and science, and I did that for about 5 years, I want to say, I know that I was truly able to master that content. I can sit here and tell you that I am able to break down those standards and what students need to master from kindergarten all the way to fifth grade. And that is because I was given that time and opportunity to truly go in, break down standards, break down the strands that need to be taught, break down the different concepts that had to be mastered in order to better teach my students how to accomplish those goals. Being departmentalized is something that I am grateful for, because it definitely made me a stronger educator and kind of also gave me this opportunity to explore the content. Since my focus was math and science, I was really able to take a deeper look and find ways to make it more interactive, to support every scholar, to differentiate. And I think it made it more fun because now I knew the content. So it was all about, how can I make this more fun for the students? How can I make this more interactive? How can I truly get them involved and make this something that they enjoy doing? We also create opportunities for a cooperative teaching approach because grade level teachers work together to collaborate and coordinate content, manage communication with parents and students, and orchestrate parent conferences. As a team, being departmentalized, some people might think it means now you're separate. You're working on separate content areas. Yes, you have the same students, but you're not teaching the same thing. But it is the complete opposite. As a departmentalized team, it was important that we were always communicating. We communicated about the students. We checked on their progress in each content area. And it was also interesting to see how they performed within each content areas. We were able to really analyze those strengths and next steps for each student because we had different teachers communicating and sitting with them and getting to know them. So now we have all these different perspectives on the same group of students, which kind of gave us a better idea of who they were as a whole student. In addition, we work together to incorporate what we are doing within each other's classes. So we want to make sure that anything that's happening in science, if we can connect it to ELA, I want to do that. If we can connect it to math, we're going to do that. If we can connect ELA to social studies, we're going to do that. And in order for that to happen, there has to be constant communication to be successful. We create opportunities for educators to take equal ownership of all students. The motto, "We are a community of one," becomes a reality. And this is absolutely true. And this is definitely a reason that we have been so successful. No teacher is an island here. And like I said before, communication is key. If I am teaching a lesson and I am stuck, I know without a doubt I can go to a peer and they'll help me out without judgment. It's never, "I got you." It's never, "I'm better than you." It's always, "We're in this together. How can we succeed and grow and learn together?" Because at the end of the day, our goal is student success. And in order for students to be successful, teachers need to work together. There's no way we can do this alone. No way. Um, so, community of one is ingrained in our blood here at CVES, and it is truly who we are. We create opportunities to break up the monotony for students and educators. Students are able to move more frequently during the day, which helps increase attention. It also provides students with an opportunity to be challenged academically by different teachers in different classroom environments. Earlier, being departmentalized truly gives the students this sense of independence, this sense of maturity, this sense of confidence that they may not have had before. now they know, oh, I'm moving to a different classroom. I have this teacher now. I have this teacher now. And it makes them feel like they are ready for middle school, like they are ready for high school, like they are ready for college. We are trying to prepare them for the future that we know they have ahead of them. And in order to do that, we need to let them know that as well, because sometimes they don't realize that. So that's our job. We create opportunities for students to develop their interpersonal skills by being exposed to different teaching styles. Again, departmentalization, it opens up a lot of doors for our students. That movement gives them that freedom to explore different teaching styles. It gives them that ability to be flexible as well, because as we know, as we grow older and we move into those upper grades, we will have different teachers and we have to learn how to adjust to those teachers and those teaching styles. So now the students are able to explore different teaching styles, and it allows them also to see how do they learn best. And if we can get our students to realize now how they learn best, they will be able to be the best advocates for their education, for themselves as learners, as they move out of our school building. Because at the end of the day, our job here is to prepare them for the future. And we have their backs here. We will always have their backs, but we have to make sure that when they leave here, they have their own backs, that they are able to speak for themselves, that they are able to state how they learn best, and that they are able to take control of their learning experience, because we taught them how to do that here at Concourse Village Elementary School. Our goal is to truly develop our scholars, to develop them into scholars who know what they need in order to be successful, who know how to make their thinking visible, who know how to speak up for themselves. And if we can do that here by being departmentalized, by supporting their independence, then we're doing the right thing. Because when they leave here, I know, we all know, that we have nothing to worry about, because they will truly be able to be successful wherever they go.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here with you today. My name is Alexa Sorden, and I'm the founding principal of Concourse Village Elementary School, located in the South Bronx. And I'm excited to be one of the 16 winners for the Best Urban School Award in 2020. As part of our community, in terms of being one of the Best Urban School Award winners, it is my responsibility to share with you some of our best practices that we have found most effective and which has fueled our success as a community. One of the things that we strongly believe in is creating a cohesive, very united school culture that includes all members. And one of the things that we believe is that at the heart of positive school climate are the relationships that we build. The relationships between teachers and teachers, students and teachers, and students, and of course, the relationships that we build with our families. We build all of these relationships with our mission and vision and core values at the forefront. So our school's mission is, at Concourse Village Elementary School, our mission is to provide a safe and nurturing environment where all students are cognitively stimulated by a rigorous curriculum, as well as personally motivated by our core values, which are integrity, perseverance, optimism, willingness, empathy, and respect. Through our core values, we foster confidence. Our goal is to foster confident, well-rounded leaders who are going to grow up to be critical thinkers and socially responsible adults who will positively impact the world around them. That is our school mission, which is grounded in the idea that it starts first with creating this strong and positive and warm environment that allows you to take risks and feel safe and feel loved and nurtured so that you could reach your full potential. And all of this is grounded on our core values, which are 6. Our vision is to foster responsible and productive citizens with strong critical thinking and academic skills via our rigorous and thought-provoking curriculum. So at our school, we invest a lot of time in our curriculum, and we make many adjustments so that we ensure that our students are constantly engaging in a productive struggle. The curriculum is delivered by passionate and motivated educators in a safe and nurturing environment, which is then supported by our families. So all of us come together to create this utopia for children where we are blessed to watch them excel and succeed, but we know that we must create those conditions for that to happen. So our main focus is how do we ensure that our students are constantly thriving? And as I mentioned, we have 6 core values, which stands for the acronym I-POWER. Integrity, which students are taught that they must have integrity in all that they do. Perseverance, especially on days when you don't feel like you have anything left, we need to persevere. Optimism, because we know that we want to be able to see all the lessons that need to be learned, and we want to view the world in a positive light. Willingness, to be willing to try new things, be willing to take things on, be willing to change, be willing to push yourself. Empathy, because we're in this together. And respect, because it's crucial and important. And one of the things that we must do is respect ourselves, respect others, respect the environment, our community, and all that encompasses who we are as human beings. How do we make all of these things come into life? When I think about school-wide culture. So one of the things that we start with is school-wide systems that support speaking the same language. And when I say speaking the same language, at the core of that is how do we create conditions that we all understand? Teachers to teachers, students to students, obviously the admin. So all of us together speaking the same language so that we're all aligned and things are clear. So our curriculum is one way. The way that we plan our curriculum teams, what we call certain elements within our curriculum are the same across the school so that it makes sense for teachers in case they change grade to grade. It makes sense for students as they travel grade to grade and as they interact with various teachers. This way, students are not relearning certain aspects of the curriculum. We also have a very strong belief in positive PBIS, which is positive behavior intervention supports. So we really believe in that. And we have a 4-tier process, which again is systematic for the entire school, and that supports our school-wide culture. So when we say our 4-tier process, what it looks like for us is that we have individual gratification. So we would award students power dollars. So if students are making the right choice and they're doing the right things, they receive a power dollar, an I-Power dollar, which they could use at the Ellie store. Ellie is our elephant, and Ellie, they get to go shopping at the store with their I-Power dollar. So that's individual award. Then there's collaborative points. So students at their tables, when they're working collaboratively, they will earn collaboration points. And so they're rewarded as a group, as a table within their classroom. And at the end of the month, the teacher will count with the class all the tally marks, all the points that they've earned. And the table with the most points gets to go into the treasure box. And sometimes in that treasure box, it's lunch with your teacher. So teachers will purchase pizza and they'll have lunch with their kids as a reward for the fact that they work collaboratively all month. Then we have whole class award. So the whole class award is given by an Ellie token, which is only given to classes by an out of classroom teacher. So students will receive an Ellie token, which then they get to cash in after they filled in their Ellie token chart, and they get to have a class party. So they go from the individual to the small group to then the whole class celebration. And the 4th is student to student. That begins in the 3rd grade. So students receive coupons at the 1st of every month. And the coupon is for $10 off at the Ellie store. So if a student sees another student exhibiting the core values, they would give them a coupon. And they check off which core value they observed. And then the teacher signs off. And those are ways that we really hyper focus on the positive and find ways to reward it because we believe it matters. We also believe in creating a classroom environment that is very student-centered, where there are no teacher desks. The entire room belongs to the children, and they have all areas of the classroom are theirs for them to learn at. Meaning, like, we have bean bags, or we have gamer chairs, or we have the small, really low desks where they can sit on a carpet. We have carpets. We have desks, individual desks that roll. We have tables. So and we have chairs that are flexible. So one of the things we took into consideration was, like, how do we create a classroom environment that is designed for kids, and that kids know it's designed for them, and they have the flexibility to move about the room as they see fit. So maybe I started my day at the high top table, but now I feel like I want to sit at the gamer chair, because when it's time for reading, I focus better there. Students have complete flexibility and to move about the room as they please. And that's also systematic. And it was very important for us to create that sense of ownership, because students should feel like the school belongs to them, because it does. Our grading policies obviously are the same across the building, so that every child knows where he or she stands. And they're speaking, again, the same language with the expectations and the norming. Teachers meet as grade teams, and they meet as department teams. So department teams would focus on ELA social studies, math, science, or the specialties, which consist of music, art, coding, and physical education. Our routines and transitions are the same, because our idea was we didn't want students to relearn things that could easily transition from throughout the school. We wanted them to not focus on that, like, well, now you're in my class, I don't do what Miss Johnson did, or, that's not what we do here. We didn't want that for kids. We wanted the school structure to be seamless, so that when they transition from grade to grade, they already have that covered, and they walk in with understanding that they're going to experience a classroom that they know very well, structures that they know very well, and then all their attention is focused on the new learning that's going to happen. We also have a unique design for curriculum. So at CVS, our approach to designing curriculum is centered on the idea that it must represent a rigorous 21st century set of comprehensive modules of studies aligned to the standards. So our curriculum is fully aligned to the standards. And how we make that come to life is we plan April to April. Our school year ends typically June 26th. We take April and we really look at our curriculum and all the feedback that were made standards. So if I'm a third grader, I'm going to start receiving instruction that reflects fourth grade standards. What should a reader, writer, mathematician be learning in the fourth grade? Even though I'm a third grader, that's what the end of my year looks like, so that I can get a preview and start to get ready for what I'm expected to learn this September, the upcoming September. We have K-5 alignment, so that all students are building upon their knowledge. What I mean by that is that our ELA modules are aligned from K-5. So what they're learning each year builds upon each year. The content that they're learning, whether it's in science or math or social studies, is constantly building upon their prior knowledge. That's our vision, and that's how we implement curriculum. At the heart of our planning is complex text, which we use in social studies, science, and in ELA. So we spend a lot of time really thinking thoughtfully about the text that we expose our children to, and they're actually numbered from like 1 to 10. So if in this module we're learning about human rights, we would number the text from 1 to 10 or from 1 to 12. And the idea of numbering is that we know that each article that students are exposed to is building upon the previous one, so that they can then make text-to-text connections naturally. And it allows them to really build their understanding in a particular discipline. So we intentionally make those decisions and assign tasks that go along with each text. So maybe text 1 and 3 and 6 go together, and there's a task that they would work on. So they would have to go back and reference the text. So we're really big on those college and career readiness skills where we're annotating text, where they're citing textual evidence to support a statement or a response. Also, we are very conscious of recent research. So for example, for the last 4 years, we've invested a lot of time in John Hattie's work. And we looked carefully at the effect size from the books that he put out, and we looked at visible learning. We said, okay, based on that, what are some of the practices that we're implementing in our school community, and what effect size are they having, and are they worth it? Are these practices that are really going to get us, the most bang for our buck? So what practices does research say is more effective, and how are we using that across our school community in all subject areas? Collaborative reading. So collaborative reading is a staple in our community. It's a 5-phase process. It's something that I developed back in 2013, and I have refined through the years. But it's a 5-phase process that focuses on close reading practices. So students are able to utilize the collaborative reading text, which is the heart of a module. Okay, so and that's why I call it like a staple in our community, because it consistently happens with every module across grades pre-K to 5, actually. And students are exposed to these habits, and they include annotating text. They include annotating text, answering the main idea, answering key details, looking at craft and structure questions, and then at the end, they synthesize what they learned. So this happens in science as well, and in social studies. We also have novels that our students interact with, and the novels are strategically selected, and they are tied together from grades K through 5 with a strong focus on identity. We have a strong focus on making students feel really good about who they are, and for them to be able to, at a very young age, learn to love themselves and appreciate who they are and their culture and everything that makes them them. So the novels are designed in a way where it may have a character they connect with. It may have a situation they connect with. It may have a storyline that they connect with. So, but the idea is that it's constantly, we wanted our novels to help form who they are, because we wanted to intentionally create opportunities for students to see themselves in the text so that they fall in love with reading. They fall in love with characters. They fall in love with authors, and they start to find solace in reading and like joy and stuff. So we intentionally selected our novels from grades K to 5 so that they develop the whole child. Our modules of studies are also designed for students to see themselves in it. So whether it's that we're intentionally selecting certain articles that represent African Americans or Latinos, or communities that look like ours. And when we do this, we usually make sure that we're showing our people of color in a beautiful light. We tend to stay away from the deficit model. We do acknowledge history, but we really hyper-focus on the beautiful parts of who we are and the strength and our successes and our accomplishments. We celebrate that in our modules naturally. It happens naturally. Whether we're looking at an inventor that was an African American, so whether it's Lewis Lattimore that comes up and how we intentionally will make that a part of our module, or when we have a novel and it's a Nikki Grimes as the author, and we're looking at Diamond Daniels, who's a character that lives in New York City, who's an African American girl. Or whether we are reading My Name is Maria Isabel. So we're intentionally creating opportunities for students to organically see themselves in the curriculum. Another thing that we do to create alignment is that when we're thinking about our curriculum design, is that our educators are becoming experts in a content area. So because we're departmentalized, which I'll talk about right after this segment. Our educators get to become proficient in a content area. And what typically happens is that if you taught fourth grade this year, you may teach third grade next year, or you may teach fourth grade next year. So the teacher gets to see a range in terms of that grade level. So how to teach that grade level across various levels of grades. So they get to see how the standard really starts to build upon each component or each element every year, which allows them to push students and support students as needed. Our department teams are vertically aligned. So we have teachers in grades 2 through 5 vertically aligned, right? From grades 2 to 5 in ELA and social studies, in math and science. So that alignment allows for teachers to push each other and to teach one another and to see what the learning looks like across a continuum. So as the second grade teacher, I may have a student in my classroom that's already performing on a fourth grade level. So because I have that fourth grade teacher on my team, I get to say, hey, can I see one of the tasks you created for your students so that I could be able to push my student? And they're able to cross collaborate vertically across departments, and it really pushes their thinking. And our professional development, another thing that's unique about our school building is that we don't engage in excessive amount of PD across like a myriad of topics. Instead, we either have a 1 to 3 focus for the year. So if I'm working on quality questioning and discussion and possibly complex texts or complex tasks, then that would be my focus for the whole year. I'll be reading books about it. I'll attend webinars about it. Because the idea is that we didn't want teachers to experience information overload from multiple streams of information, because then it almost paralyzes them, because there's so much information that it's like, where do I start? Where do I begin? So the idea of having a professional development focus that's like on one topic, no more than 3, really allows a teacher to dive deeply. And then it creates an opportunity for the teacher to go back into the classroom and implement a practice and then bring it back to their peer group and show them what they learned. And then they get to see what it looks like to apply the actual learning. The other thing that we have in place for our curriculum design is opportunities for feedback. So after a module is implemented, students give us feedback on the module, teachers give us feedback on the module, and then we make edits and corrections on the spot so that the refinement is constantly happening so that we're prepared for the upcoming school year. One thing that's also unique about our school community is that we are departmentalized in grades 2 through 5. For our mission for being departmentalized was to empower all students and educators to become confident and proficient across each subject area. And by having educators really focus on a subject area, it does create a sense of ownership for that content. And teachers report back that they are able to learn from one group with another group and see what was effective with one and what wasn't, what strategy may have been effective with one group and not with the other. And then they're able to make adjustments like on the spot. Our vision for why we chose to be departmentalized was is a bold, innovative, and continually improving school community that maintains a focus on preparing students for tomorrow. And by departmentalizing them, teachers get to hone in on their subject and they get to really engage in project-based learning. They get to design the classroom space so that this is the math room, this is the math space, and it's all about that. And every part of the room becomes a resource for the students. And teachers are able to prepare them for what they will experience in middle school, high school, and college at an earlier age. Our belief is that students and teachers have the capacity to achieve excellence, experience equity, and learn in a supportive and nurturing classroom environment. And because all of our teachers work together as a school community, we're easily able to create departmentalized settings so that teachers work together as a grade team. Like we're the second grade team. We work together for this cohort of students, and we build strong relationship with this cohort and this family. But then I'm also on a department team that's really tapping into my professional development, and that's making me a lot smarter as an educator. So that's the beauty in having departmentalized classes, that you get to have your grade team so that you're working together for this cohort, and then your department team, which is feeding into your professional development. And that allows us to create opportunities for teachers to focus on and master the subject that they're teaching. We also create opportunities for cooperative teaching. As I said, they work together in grade teams, and then they also work in department teams. We create opportunities for teachers to take equal ownership. So at our school community, one of the things that we say is we are a community of one. Well, now that we share an entire grade, we are responsible for every child on this grade. So there it creates that sense of ownership of students. So they are all our students. We also create opportunities to break up the monotony. And it works for a lot of kids. You know, the fact that they get to transition into another classroom with another teacher. It allows teachers to build those interpersonal skills because they get to interact with different teachers in different classroom settings throughout the day. And oftentimes there's a teacher's style that they do prefer over another. So the idea that they get to come in contact with different teachers throughout the day really, really taps into what that child needs as a learner. So these are the factors that really contribute to our school community. We have a strong belief in school-wide culture, where it's grounded on that same language. We speak the same language for our children and for our teachers. We have a strong belief in curriculum development that is rigorous and tied to the standards, and that is culturally relevant and creates opportunities for project-based learning. And then we also believe that the departmentalized piece is really contributing to our students' maturity. It's really contributing to our teachers' knowledge of content area. And it's really contributing to the idea of developing experts in the field. And that has really made our school community come together in a really professional manner. And by professional, I mean because we see each other as learning partners. We're learning partners. So I learn from you, you learn from me. So all of these elements really contribute to creating an amazing school culture where we're honored to not only be the 2020 best urban school in the nation, but in 2018, we received the National Blue Ribbon Award for exemplary performance. And that is all a credit to our teachers, our students, our parents, who support us dearly and who play a pivotal role in our success by ensuring that our students are in school all the time. We have excellent attendance. Even now, under our current condition, we're a hybrid school. So that means that we have students that are on remote. We have students that are in person 5 days a week. We have students that are in person 3 days a week, and then they're hybrid 2 days a week. And then they're remote 2 days a week. And then we have students that are full-time remote. But even in this world where some are in person, some are remote, we still intentionally find ways to bring our community together, whether it's through Wellness Wednesdays, where our PE teacher hosts a cooking class and brings the entire school community together for Wellness Wednesdays, whether it's our music teacher bringing us together for a music show online, whether it's an Instagram post or it's Spirit Week and we're celebrating our children, whether it's a snow day and we're posting pictures of our families, out there sledding or building snowmen. And we know and value the importance of coming together. We've always known that, but now more than ever, coming together as a community is super important. And if I had to give any advice to any school leader, I would say definitely look at your school culture. And it's not just the term school culture. You have to really break down, what does it sound like? What does it feel like? What does it look like, right? Once you have that teased out, what does a highly effective, highly nurturing, safe school culture sound like? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it look like to see students learning? What does it look like to see students engage? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? So that when you're able to tease that out and have all the examples of what that looks like, then you know what to look for. Now you know what your mission and vision is because you're clear and you're able to share that with your school community. And then you're all on the same page with the idea of understanding that being on the same page is about being one. It's about being one, it's about being united. And when we're united as a school community, our children win. Our children are the winners. Every time that a school comes together, our children are the winners. So that's why it matters. So school leaders, pay really close attention to your school-wide culture, all facets of the culture. And how are we ensuring that it's great for students and for teachers and for admin and for parents? How are we all benefiting from a cohesive, supportive school community?
Thank you, ladies, for sharing so much vital information. We have a lot of questions that I want to make sure we get answered. So I'll just throw them out there and you guys decide who's going to answer them, okay? So the first question is how have some of these systems transferred to distance hybrid learning?
I'll let Ms. Cruz answer that.
I am in the classroom. So they definitely have transferred. We are still, oh my God, we are still acknowledging students. So for example, right now we have the system of the power dollars, but we can't physically give it to them. So we've been using, for example, Class Dojo in order to still highlight these positive behaviors, in order to acknowledge whether their cameras are on, whether they're participating, acknowledging one another during the calls. So we still are embedding these practices. We're still embedding small group support. In terms of breakout rooms, scholars are still using accountable talk stems when they're having discussions with one another. And they're still acknowledging one another, the same systems, as best as possible from home or from within here.
I would add on to that we start all transitions still start with big. So that's something that we utilize in our school where with big, we're asking our students to center themselves and get ready for the current learning that they're about to embark on. So that's something that we do in person that transitioned over to remote. We still begin with the scholar's creed of integrity because those are affirmations that we want them to hold on to. We also dance and celebrate because one of the things that we really want to do is have fun. We want our kids to see our silly side and to feel good about coming to school. We have celebrations with them online. We also host movie nights, or well, they're not nights, but they're usually movie afternoons. So when we're rewarding them for their great choices, we come together as one. Teachers also have online lunch with their students. And then as a reward, our teachers also play Among Us with the children. So the ones that are remote, they're like playing Among Us online. And they really get excited when they get to kill the teacher. But they love the idea of, she doesn't know that I'm an imposter. So it's been really funny to watch the children and the teachers share Among Us together.
Thank you so much, Alexa and Cynthia. Our next question is dealing with structures, procedures, and transitions. So how did you all develop and agree on the school-wide structure, procedures, and transition?
So for the question of developing, I'm a visual learner, and it seems that about anywhere between 75 to 90% based on the research that exists, most people are as well. So when I was thinking about systems and structures, I took myself back to when I was a classroom teacher, and I highlighted the difference between classroom management versus
behavior management. And when I thought about how to safely manage a classroom space, like I literally walked through an entire classroom and things, even where the sharpener is located, where would it be the least intrusive place where the sharpener could be located, that if a teacher was meeting with a small group, it wouldn't interrupt their lesson. How could I situate the classroom space so that it made it easy for students to navigate from one station to the next? How could where would I put up charts that would be eye level for children? Because the idea is that everything that's in a classroom is so that it supports student learning. So when I thought about the development process, I actually went through the motions. I physically took myself through what would a child see in this day, and then from there delineated a plan from step 1 to step 2. Then when I presented it to educators, that's when they provided feedback and where they showed, oh, well, this could potentially be a problem. And then we said, so how would we solve that? So we took a very preventive approach for designing our school structure. And with their feedback and then their implementation, then that's what we learned from.
Thank you so much, Alexa. Alexa, the next question is related to departmentalized. You've spoke about your teams are departmentalized. Can you talk a little bit about what grades and how are they organized? How are they departmentalized?
So we're departmentalized from grades 2 through 5, and we're broken up into 3 subject areas: ELA/social studies, which would be a version of humanities, science, and math.
And was that also decided with your staff's input, or how did that decision come to be?
Staff input, principal observations, and because I noticed what were areas of strengths for many teachers, and math can become complex when you get to 4th grade and really complex when you get to 5th grade. So knowing that we need to play off of each other's strengths was really important for student learning and for teacher development. So based on feedback and observations and what we thought would make the most sense for student learning, that's how we came up with that system.
We also did it on a rolling out basis. So it started with 3rd, and then the following year it was 3rd and 4th. After that, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And this year we added 2nd.
Excellent. Could you also talk about how you foster student leadership in your classroom, student-led lessons? You guys discussed that in the video, so can you elaborate a little bit more on that, please?
So one of our baby collaborative reading approach, something that we've done is we have student leaders. They are the facilitator. They take over, they start the lesson. They are the ones that take over us. And it's funny because you start to see yourself in the students, and certain things that you might do, you start seeing it in the scholars. So they take over and they acknowledge scholars. They're able to bounce back ideas. We use participation cards in order to show whether you agree, you disagree, you would like to add on. And this is something that the facilitator is in charge of leading. So when a scholar shares out their response or is explaining a thought, the facilitator goes ahead and says, okay, I see John using the participation cards. Thank you for using that and showing respect. And they even are in charge of handing out power dollars. So they become leaders, as well as when we're doing station work. We have student leaders in that as well, where you're in charge of the directions, make sure, keep track of the time for your group. So they are the leaders and they're taking over for the group and the classroom, and teachers are able to step back and now be able to work closer with other small groups and provide more feedback and one-to-one support.
And in some cases, when it makes sense, the teacher will share the lesson plan with the scholar so that the student leader can be prepared in advance for the lesson.
Also, I just want to add on, this just goes back to the importance of the structures and the routines. Because we are very consistent, the students already know what to expect, and because they know what to expect, they can go ahead and be leaders within the classroom because our systems are the same every day in every classroom.
Thank you so much, ladies. And the next question is, what systems do you have in place for students who are still developing skills? Considering a 3rd grade student who is missing key skills to have success at 3rd grade level material.
I'll begin, and I'm pretty sure Ms. Cruz will add on to that as well, and Ms. Caceres. Because we have stations as part of one of our instructional methods, throughout we can differentiate or customize or personalize the learning for each student based on where they are. So we would use the data that we currently have. And when that scholar who needs different, different support or needs additional support, their station journey will probably vary from another scholar's. So the idea of having station rotations in place provides us with the opportunity of creating a more customized experience for the child. And then when the student meets in a small group session with their teacher, they would have a different skill or strategy that they may be working on, that with the idea of moving them along to the next level so that they could be on grade level. And it works the opposite way as well. Students that are really high performing also have to have a customized approach. And Ms. Cruz can add on to what that looks like.
Yes. So on some other strategies that we've used is front-loading information to scholars, providing them with vocabulary practice. So if I know that I'm reading a text that is on a 4th grade level, but there are certain vocabulary words that they might struggle with, now I might go ahead and use a Freyer model. I might show them a video that connects to what they are reading in order to support their learning. We have also used the flipped classroom approach. So I might send you home and I say, hey, I need you to read this for tomorrow, be prepared. Right now in the 4th grade, we're reading a novel. So one of the requirements for the scholars is that they have to read the chapter before, the day before, and they submit a flip grade in order to show comprehension of the text so that when we are coming to class the next day, our time is maximized and we are able to provide that small group support, whether it's a scholar that needs support because they're performing below grade level or they're way above grade level. Audio. For the novel, we provide a lot of audios, a lot of visuals. Visuals are very helpful, especially for students that are not native English speakers. Student-to-student support when we're in the classroom. They support one another, partnerships, and they learn best from each other. So based on the personalities and their strengths and weaknesses, we're able to pair them accordingly as well.
Our instructional assistants also support with level literacy intervention groups. So we target scholars who are reading below grade level and they get 6 weeks of intervention. And by the end of that, their level is assessed and it can be determined whether they move out of that program. And then we bring in a new set of students as well.
Thank you. You guys have used this word big. What does it stand for?
Stands for breathe deeply. So big is breathe, and I is initiate your intentions, and G is for get ready to have a great session. So we transition with big all the time. And the idea behind that was I needed my educators and my scholars to breathe. And this was pre-COVID. So pre-COVID, we wanted to just slow everything down. We don't want compliant teachers. We don't want compliant scholars. We want them to be present and in the moment. And our teachers participate in big. So with every transition, especially for grades 2 to 5, since they are moving from one classroom to the other, it was so important to just get them to pause and just center themselves and get ready for the learning that's about to happen. 3K through 1st grade also engage in big. And we noticed that being able to just stop for a second for both students and teachers has made a really big difference in terms of how they're able to enter the lesson in a more calm and focused manner.
Thank you so much. I have a few more questions. I know I have you guys on a roll here. The next question is, how do you address students' social and emotional needs?
So when at the start of our lesson, we always we're asking them, how are you feeling? In the morning when they come in, just looking at them, you can tell whether something's wrong, whether they're in a good mood. And if they're not, we address it right at the onset of the day, because then this will then set up their day for the rest of the day. So it's like if I start with my students in the morning with ELA and social studies, and I see someone has, they just don't look the same as they usually do, the joy in their face, I said, hey, is everything okay? Can we talk? So just speaking to them and asking them. And sometimes it might be something very simple, as they had an argument with a brother or sister. Maybe they haven't had breakfast. So now it's like, okay, come on, let's go get you some breakfast. So really paying attention to just looking at them and their appearance, as well as doing polls on the Zoom. We do polls on the Zoom to just a quick check-in, how's it going? And also communication with the parents. Parents might mention, hey, we had a family member that something happened. So now we check in with the scholar. We check in, hey, how's it going? How are you feeling? Do you want to have a conversation? And they're really close to us, and they usually open up very well. During lunch, the teachers have lunch with the scholars, and we are just playing songs, we're playing games, and they love it. They are very engaged. They're also suggesting music. So we try to do stuff that they enjoy. Just recently, we did the cha-cha slide, and they were like, oh, I have another dance we can do. So they really enjoy all of that. So really having that trust and building that trust with them, as well as the parents.
I'd like to add on that pre-COVID, the system for interacting with our children involved like several educators that would be every morning there for ingress. So even before they got to the classroom, there would be many educators that the children would interact with. And then the idea of just making eye contact with scholars, checking in on them, having close relationships with families. We'll know when someone's pregnant, we'll know when someone moved, like we know a lot, and then we're able to touch base with the student. Oftentimes, being able to manage a lot of what could be potentially be impacting their mood even before they get to the classroom. And now with COVID in place, one of the things that we always would greet our scholars at the door, and we still do, we just have no touch greetings now. So they do a foot shake, or they do namaste, or they wiggle, or they do air hugs. And a lot of it is just embedded naturally, but then we also use the curriculum. So through the novels that we're reading, that's opportunities for SEL. Through our positive reinforcement that it's school-wide and daily, that's another opportunity for SEL. And then we have separate clubs targeted for students based on data that we've gathered. So in 5th grade, we have an all-girls club. And in 4th and 5th grade, we have an all-boys club. And they're in control, the students drive those conversations, but it was a way for us to create a special place for them to interact with one another. So in 4th and 5th grade, they're called the bros. And in 5th, the girls club is the GEMS club, so the Girls Empowerment Movement.
I wasn't sure if Katie wanted to add anything to that. So one last question. There's so many questions. So before we end real quick, how does your special education teachers fit in with the concepts of school-wide systems, and as well as keep their standards and expectations intact?
I would like to start by saying, when you come to our school, the first comment we get is that, which one is a special education teacher? And that's how we like it. Because when we have an ICT classroom, it's not that I am only here to service this child. We have 2 educators in the same room who are servicing a whole class of students, and it's their job to work together in order to make sure that all students are successful and to use each other's strengths. So on paper, we may have that title, but in the classroom, we are the educators and we're working together. And when someone comes in, you're not going to be able to tell who's the special ed and who's the gen ed teacher. And that's really important for the culture and for the students as well, because you never want a child to be in a classroom and feel like, oh man, I'm in this group because I don't know something, because I'm less than, because they think I'm dumb. That's not the community we're building here. Everyone is capable. Everyone has something to learn, and we're going to go in here and we're going to do it together.
Very good point you made, Katy. I remember working at other schools, and here is the special education teacher with the kids with IEP. Here's a general education teacher with the rest of the students. And as Ms. Caceres mentioned, that's not the culture we have. And in terms of grouping, either as well. You're not grouped because you have an IEP. You're not grouped because you are a general education student. You are grouped based on the data that we are collecting on a day-by-day basis. So in a small group, I as a student might be in a group where right now I need the support from an educator because this is what the data let the teacher know. Tomorrow, I might be in another group. So the groups are very flexible. They're always changing, and they're always based on the data that we collect. And this can change day by day. It can be a week process where the groupings are changing.
And I mentioned John Hattie in the video, and one of the things he also mentions in his research on effect size is the idea of labeling students. And that's one thing. We understand that there are classifications and subgroups for different reasons, but with our scholars, there are no labels. And we never want them to know even that the label exists. Do we know internally that there are certain classifications? Yes. And the way we look at it is, that's just information. And oftentimes I say, how lucky is that child that gets to have his own individual educational plan? Because I know we all need our own. So the idea of having a classification is just that I have additional information on you as a learner. That's all it means.
Katie, ladies, there's so many questions. I want to try to sneak one more in there. And then that one is, how did you create and establish your core value work? I know I'm throwing so many at you, but maybe.
That's good. This is the fun part. This is so the core values as a founding principal when I was developing the school as a new school back in 2013. One of the things I thought about, what were values that would transfer over academically and personally. So those core values that exist are academic and personal behaviors. So they are values that you can mention at any time in the classroom, but they're also values that our scholars get to take away with them so that they become strong, well-rounded individuals.
Katie and Cynthia, do you want to add anything to that? Got it? Okay.
One thing that I know comes up, I get a lot of questions about buy-in. And that's actually a term that we don't use in the building because one of the things that matters to us is that we don't negotiate what's right for kids. So we come to the table and we have conversations around children and what would be best for children. And then my job as a principal is to create conditions for our teachers to be successful. So professional development, resources, and a culture where they feel safe and secure so that our children receive the education that they deserve. So the buy-in doesn't really exist. We have like-minded individuals that love the profession and they have a strong belief in our children because they see themselves in the children and they also come from the same background and the same communities that our children come from.
Just to add on to that, everything was backed up with data. Everything is backed up with data. So it's hard to say, like, I'm not going to do that when there's data that proves this is effective and this is helpful for the students. So when you have a leader who brings an idea to the table but says, hey, here's the data behind that, it's very difficult to say, no, I don't want to do that unless you don't have the kids as you're in the best, unless you don't have the best interest of the students in mind. So just whenever doing something or trying to make a change within the school, always back it up with data, because once you have that, everything else will follow.
And I will say that Ms. Sorden does have an open door policy. So if there's ever a case where, you know what, we are a team, we talked about it, we tried it, this didn't work. Let's talk about, well, what are some next steps? What can we do next? Because it's not just going to Ms. Sorden and say, this doesn't work. And we're not doing it. It's, hey, we tried this. These were the steps we took. We discussed it as a team. We came to these conclusions. What do you think about this next step or about this idea? And we usually do come with the data, and she's very open to that. So any changes that will benefit the students, like Ms. Caceres said.
Thank you so much. You know, I know there's so many more questions and we have to move on to the next sessions, but you guys have shared some phenomenal things and are doing amazing things that our educators are definitely interested in learning more about it. And if you are, make sure that you sign up on Join our mailing list at ncus.com where you'll find more recordings. I know that Concourse Village recorded a lesson earlier that we have online. And also up next, we have Benavides Elementary School and Maplewood Richmond Heights High School presenting their journey on becoming America's best school. Please do not forget to complete the survey by the end of the symposium. The survey is due Monday, March 8th for your chance to win $200 gift card. Let's give a virtual round of applause for our speakers. I mean, they just did a phenomenal job, and I am so glad that I was able to participate with you. And thank you so much, ladies, and you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.